Let's tally up how much it costs to go backpacking with premium gear. First off, a backpack, $400. Shelter, $530. Sleeping pad, $140. And a sleeping bag, $330. That's only the main gear that you need for a shelter, a sleeping system, and a backpack to carry everything in, and we're already at $1,400. But what if I told you that that's a scam? And that you don't need to pay nearly that much money to go backpacking. I started backpacking when I was in college and used budget gear. I was getting paid $12 an hour and only worked like 25 hours a week. So you don't need to spend a ton of money to enjoy the backcountry. As with many things, backpacking does have a bit of a cost of entry, meaning that if you don't already have some of this gear, you're going to need to pay a bit in order to get the things that you need. But the purpose of this video is to show you that it doesn't need to be nearly as expensive as it might seem to start backpacking, and to give you a bit of a budget gear guide if you are just getting started. So let's get into it. Let's get started with those main 4 pieces of gear: a backpack, a shelter or a tent, a sleeping bag, and a sleeping pad. The first backpack that I ever got when I first started backpacking was the Teton Sports 3400, which they've now changed to just the Teton Sports Scout 55 liter. Teton Sports is one of those brands that you can find on Amazon. They make pretty good stuff. It's not super lightweight, but it's durable, it feels like quality, and they have competitive prices. Anyway, the Scout 55 is a great backpack for weekend trips. Being 55 liters, you'd be good for like 2 to 3 days of backpacking, maybe 4 if you wanted to push it and had like minimal gear with you. Plus, it only costs $90, so we've already saved $310 on just the backpack. As for a shelter, most people are just gonna use a tent, and there are loads of different tents on Amazon, and most of them are absolute garbage. As for my own opinion, I wouldn't really pay anything less than like $80 for a tent. Anything under that, it's just not gonna be good quality. You can check out my video that I made on the $22 Amazon tent if you wanna see what I mean. As for a decent backpacking tent that's gonna hold up in the elements, it's gonna be lighter weight and won't break the bank, there is the Alps Mountaineering Lynx one-person tent. It's a $130 tent that weighs 4.1 pounds, or at least that's what the company claims. But 4.1 pounds is a good weight for a backpacking tent, especially from what you're gonna find on Amazon. There's a lot of tents out there that claim to be backpacking tents, but if you look at their weight, they're like 7 to 8 pounds, which is definitely too heavy, in my opinion, to be considered a backpacking tent. However, this is also a one-person tent, so it's gonna be a bit more cramped in there, but there is a vestibule, which is nice, so you can put your gear outside of your tent under that vestibule and not just stuffed inside the tent with you. So just on the tent, we saved $410 compared to the premium backpacking gear, and in total, we've already saved $700 on 2 items. Next up on the list, we have a sleeping bag. So if you're newer to backpacking, I'm assuming you're probably not gonna be going out backpacking when it's gonna be super cold. So because of that, I'm gonna focus a bit more on a summer kind of backpacking setup. In my opinion, a summer sleeping bag is something rated to like 40 to 50 degrees. And a rating on a sleeping bag is the absolute coldest that it can go. Like, I mean, like the coldest that you are going to survive in inside that sleeping bag. I tried pushing this and it did not go well at all. You can check out my Gila National Forest videos if you want to see what I'm talking about. Anyway, a good sleeping bag for summer backpacking would be the REI Co-op Heliosac 50. It's actually on sale right now for $56 and it regularly costs $80. It's a 50-degree sleeping bag, so you don't want to use it in anything lower than 50 degrees, and REI is a reputable brand. If you're looking for a warmer sleeping bag because you want to be brave and go backpacking in some colder temperatures, I recommend the Teton Sports Tracker 20 or their 5-degree, because those are good sleeping bags. So this is the, like I said, this is the Tracker 5. You can, you know, get it packed down a bit more with these straps. Oh. There, it's already a bit smaller. So this is definitely bulky, but I have used this 5-degree a lot, and I actually slept naked in it while I was backpacking through Gila National Forest. I know, TMI, but it's true, it was that warm. This 5-degree sleeping bag costs $75 and their 20-degree sleeping bag costs $55. So if we're going off the REI Heliosac 50, we've saved a total of $250 compared to the premium backpacking quilt. That brings our savings total to $960 on 3 pieces of gear. As for the last part of the main 4 pieces of gear that you need for backpacking, there is the sleeping pad. This is essential for keeping you warm at night because if you were to just sleep on the ground is just going to absorb the heat right out of you. Plus, that would be super uncomfortable. So a sleeping pad is like a vital part of staying warm while you're sleeping while backpacking. A sleeping pad that I personally used for like 5 years was the Outdoorsman Lab sleeping pad. I don't recommend these. They're really not good sleeping pads. Like, it worked, it did the trick, but it was not fun sleeping. I would not sleep very good. One that I could find on Amazon that does look to be decent quality and is just like slightly more expensive is the Trekology UL 80. I've had experience with Trekology gear and it seems to be good stuff for the price. Their sleeping pad cost $40, which is not a bad price at all, and compared to the premium backpacking sleeping pad, we saved $100. So in total, on 4 pieces of gear just by getting the budget stuff, we've already saved over $1,000. So for the rest of this video, I just want to share with you all of the rest of the other things that go with you pretty much every time while you're backpacking that aren't like the big headliner pieces of gear. Some of these I did find some good budget options that I have used in the past or what I would recommend, but there's a few of these things that you just need to pay the price for what they are because that's how much they cost. And that actually brings us to this first item. As for a water filter, this is something essential for backpacking, unless you want to boil water every time you want to drink or eat some food. There are 2 water filters that I've used in the past and what I have experience with and what pretty much everyone else who likes backpacking has experience with. And first up, that is the Sawyer Squeeze. This screws right on top of a smart water bottle so you can just drink dirty water through your water bottle, or you can use their pouch to squeeze the water through and filter water right then and there. The filter that I mainly use now is this Katadyn Be Free. Katadyn Be Free. I like this because it's just a self-contained little unit and it actually, like when you're not using it, it scrunches down very small and that's it. That's your whole water filter system right there. All you do is just fill this up with water and squeeze it into your water bottle and you're good to go. On days where water is a little bit more scarce, like on my most recent trip to Shenandoah National Park, I kept this 1 liter pouch full of water because like the first 2 days there was hardly any water on the trail. It's just nice to have a little bit of extra with you because you don't want to run out of water. The Sawyer Squeeze costs $45 and this Katadyn Be Free also costs $45. And these things should last you a very long time as long as you properly maintain them, which I definitely suggest that you do. Next up, we have a cook pot because you're going to need something to boil water in order to make some food while you're out on the trail. A really good budget option is this right here. This is the G4 Free 2-piece camping cookware from Amazon and it only costs like $18. Probably take this thing out of the bag. There. G4 Free 2-piece camping cookware. I do suggest maybe just like removing this top part and making a cover out of tinfoil because that's just like really, really big. You don't need all of that. I actually recently made a comparison video on this Amazon cookpot versus an REI cookpot, so check that video out after this one if you want to see the difference between an Amazon one and an REI cookpot. $18 from Amazon, that will do the trick. Next, you need a stove for cooking, and again, on Amazon you can pick up an AOTU portable camping stove. I used one of those for like 4 to 5 years while backpacking, and it worked just fine, aside from one time when it didn't, when I was in the Gila National Forest, but that was my own mistake because I did not test my gear before I left for backpacking. So always test your gear. I paid the price and definitely learned my lesson. These are only like $12 to $14 and they have their own igniter. And then to go with your cook pot and your stove, you're going to need some fuel. And these are already pretty expensive. This is a medium-sized canister, but a small one is only going to cost you like $4 to $6 at REI. You can go with Jetboil, MSR, GSI. They all basically do the same exact thing. Just do not buy these off of Amazon because they are crazy upcharged. They're going to cost you like over double if you were to buy online rather than just going in store. So make sure you buy fuel in store because you're going to save a ton of money. Next up, we have a trowel because inevitably you're going to need to do your business while you're out on the trail. To do this, the proper way is to dig a little cat hole and to dig the hole. I've had this cheap little trowel for years. It works just fine. It's just a backpacking trowel on Amazon and it costs like $13 to $16. I also bring this Ziploc bag of toilet paper with me, and this right here, this is my little kit. As for a pro tip, just make sure you take out the cardboard tube out of the toilet paper roll, because it's gonna save you some space and technically some weight. As for storing your food and your clothes, I use these dry bags. I have a 12-liter one for food, a 20-liter one for my clothing, and then also this 4-liter one that just kind of holds the things that come with me on every single backpacking trip. You can get a 3-pack of dry bags like this Frelaxy dry bag 3-pack that'll work just fine and only cost like $18. And like I said, this 4-liter dry bag holds all of the like smaller miscellaneous things that come with me on every single backpacking trip. Dump all this stuff out. First up, we have a spork, and this is like $5 on Amazon or at REI. It'll work just great. It's the Human Gear spork, I believe. You don't need anything super fancy. Little spork. There's also a mosquito net, because sometimes the mosquitoes really suck. When I was in the Wind River Range, there was more mosquitoes than I've ever experienced in my entire life, and I was very happy that I had this with me. So yeah, mosquito head net, something great and super lightweight. It takes up no space and weighs nothing. Just keep that in your bag. It's always good to have just in case. Oh yeah, and they're also like $9 at Walmart. Next up, I have here a makeshift first aid kit that it's really nothing special. The main thing that I want to get at with this point is that you don't need that giant plastic case first aid kit thing that you would get on Amazon or Walmart. All you need is just a Ziploc bag with some of the stuff that you already have at home. Put it inside the Ziploc bag and you'll hopefully never need to use it while you're backpacking. Also inside this bag, I have tube of chapstick, because that's kind of nice to have. Mini travel toothbrush, and then a mini bottle of toothpaste that you would just get from the dentist for free. That's that. I also carry this relatively small folding knife because it's nice to have a knife with you. Any small folding knife will work just fine. There's also a headlamp, and this is actually a pretty nice headlamp that I really like, but I think any compact rechargeable headlamp will work just fine while you're backpacking. Just make sure it's rechargeable, because you don't want to have to worry about carrying extra batteries with you and just deal with that extra weight and extra stuff. So highly suggest a headlamp, because sometimes you gotta pee in the middle of the night and you want to have a headlamp. There's also some paracord for hanging your food at night, just to keep it away from the bears in case you're in bear country. Paracord is really cheap. You can get like 100 feet of it for like $13, $10 to $13 on Amazon, and you really only need to carry like 50 to 75 feet or so. Not even really sure how much is in here, but this footage works just fine. I bring this power bank with me as well, because it's nice to have something to recharge your phone, and for me, my camera batteries when I'm filming or my inReach. It's nice to have something that will let you recharge your gear for the amount of days that you're going to be out on the trail. It looks like a flask, but it really is a power bank. I don't know why they made it look like a flask, but it does. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there are USB ports right there. And then lastly, inside here, I just keep my towel and my toilet paper. They go inside this dry bag as well. That's the little miscellaneous kit of backpacking gear that comes with me on every single trip. So there are just a few things that I carry on my body while I'm backpacking, and first up is a magnesium fire starter. And fun fact, I've actually been wearing this on myself like every single day for years now, and it definitely comes with me when I'm backpacking. It's nice to have with you with your backpacking, just in case the igniter fails on your stove or your lighter fails, because a magnesium fire starter or something very similar should not fail on you. Also, these fire starters themselves are only like $6, so they're very inexpensive and they're kind of fun to use. Next up is a bottle of bear spray, because if you're in bear country, you definitely want to have a can of this with you just to be safe. And bear spray, it's one of those things you just kind of got to pay the price for, because they run like $40 to $60. I've never come along a bear while backpacking, but I know if I did, I would want to make sure I have one of these with me. Lastly, this is one final piece of gear that is not cheap at all, but it's another piece of safety equipment that you should just carry with you. This right here is a Garmin inReach Mini. It's a GPS tracker. You can send text messages through it via GPS, so you don't need cell service. You can see yourself on a map. You can check your location, you can check the weather, and it has an SOS function. Basically, this lets you text with your family and let them know that you're okay, and if something were to go wrong, it has this SOS beacon, so like, if you're injured and like seriously injured and can't get yourself out while you're backpacking, you activate the SOS and an emergency response team will come evac you from the backcountry. I bring this with me on every single backpacking trip because you just never know. You want to be safe. I bring it with me even if I'm with someone else or not even really that far out in the backcountry, because even being 5 miles out into the backcountry is far enough to not be able to get yourself out. But this does come with a price tag. The Garmin InReach Mini costs $400. Plus, in order to operate it, it requires a subscription plan, and that costs anywhere from $15 to $65 per month. So all in all, if you plan on doing a lot of backpacking or you're going to be doing some sort of activities that take you far out into the backcountry, this is definitely a piece of equipment that is worth the investment. So when it comes to getting all of the proper backpacking gear, this isn't really something that you just purchase all this stuff all in one go. While I was in college, I would save up money and then purchase individual pieces of gear when I had the money to, and slowly filled out my backpacking gear list. And now that I do own premium backpacking gear, it's still the same exact situation. I slowly bought each piece of premium gear, I saved up money and purchased them when they went on sale. So that's just about every piece of budget gear that you should bring with you when you go backpacking. If you're looking to purchase some of this gear for yourself, I put a load of links in the description of this video. When you decide to make a purchase, clicking those links supports me and my channel at no extra cost to you, so I definitely appreciate all of you for using those links. Let me know if you use any of this gear currently or if you've used any of it in the past, because I know a lot of this budget gear is very popular and that a lot of people have experience with them. Thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.